Have you ever heard something so unbelievable that it makes you pause and think, wait, what? That's exactly what happened when Stat Quo sat down with MixedbyAli and revealed a shocking truth that took everyone by surprise. We're talking about one of the most iconic albums in hip-hop history, Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, m.A.A.d, and how Stat Quo admits he almost led this monumental project into disaster. Yes, you read that correctly. The very album that revolutionized the genre, that turned Kendrick into a household name, and had fans analyzing every lyric and story as if it were scripture, was nearly derailed due to advice Stat Quo now considers to be terrible. And he's not shying away from it. He's owning up to it, laughing about it, and explaining just how close we came to missing out on the masterpiece we cherish today. Welcome to Celebrity Rap Life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary. Because in celebrity rap life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next. Imagine this. It's the early days before Good Kid, m.A.A.d is released, and Kendrick is crafting what would become his major label debut. The stakes are high. This isn't just another mixtape or underground release. This is Kendrick's chance to prove he belongs among the elite, to create something that resonates with millions while remaining true to his Compton roots. Every choice counts, every verse, every beat, every concept could make or break his career. Amidst this creative pressure, Stat Quo is involved, sharing his opinions on how Kendrick should approach the project. But Stat Quo isn't just any random voice. He's an experienced rapper who's navigated the industry, signed with major labels, collaborated with legends, and understands the inner workings of the game. So when he offers advice, people pay attention. Kendrick did too. But here's where it gets intriguing and, frankly, a bit wild. Stat Quo admits he gave Kendrick not one but two pieces of advice that, looking back, were completely off base. And we're not talking about small suggestions like change this hook or switch up that verse. We're talking about fundamental direction, the kind of advice that if Kendrick had followed, it could have altered the entire DNA of the album. Stat Quo is sitting there with MixedbyAli, and he's being brutally honest about it. He's not trying to save face or pretend like he had it all figured out. He's straight up saying, yeah, I was wrong, and thank God Kendrick didn't listen to me. That kind of honesty is rare in an industry where everyone wants to take credit when things go right and disappear when things go wrong. But Stat Quo is different. He's keeping it real about his missteps, and that's what makes this story so compelling. So what exactly was this terrible advice? Stat Quo breaks it down piece by piece, and as he's talking you can almost feel the weight of what could have been. The first piece of advice he gave Kendrick was about the overall sound and direction of the album. He wanted Kendrick to go harder, to chase the radio hits, to make music that would immediately grab mainstream attention without all the deep storytelling and conceptual layers that Good Kid, m.A.A.d is famous for. In Stat Quo's mind at the time, he was thinking about commercial success, about making sure Kendrick could compete with what was popping on the charts. He figured if Kendrick wanted to really blow up, he needed to simplify things, make it more accessible, less introspective, more party-ready. It made sense from a business perspective, or at least it seemed like it did in the moment. But here's the thing. That advice would have stripped away everything that made Kendrick special. It would have turned him into just another rapper trying to fit into a mold instead of breaking it. The second piece of advice was even more specific and potentially more damaging. Stat Quo thought Kendrick should cut back on the skits and interludes, those voice messages and conversations that are woven throughout Good Kid, m.A.A.d. He felt like they slowed down the momentum, that listeners would skip over them, that they were unnecessary filler in an age where people just want to get straight to the music. From a traditional album structure standpoint, you could see where he was coming from. Most albums at that time were loading up on bangers back to back, trying to keep the energy high without any breaks. But what Stat Quo didn't realize, what nobody could have fully predicted, was that those skits and interludes would become some of the most iconic parts of the album. They weren't just filler. They were the glue that held the entire narrative together. They gave the album its soul, its authenticity, its cinematic quality. Without them, Good Kid, m.A.A.d would have just been a collection of great songs. With them, it became a movie you could listen to, a complete story that pulled you into Kendrick's world and didn't let go until the last second. Now imagine if Kendrick had actually listened. Imagine if he had stripped out all that narrative structure, removed the phone calls from his parents, cut the conversations with his friends, ditched the atmospheric interludes that set the mood and built tension. Imagine if he had chased radio hits instead of trusting his vision for a cohesive concept album that told the story of a teenager navigating the dangers and temptations of Compton. We would have gotten a completely different project, and chances are it wouldn't have had anywhere near the same impact. It might have sold well initially, but it wouldn't have stood the test of time. It wouldn't have been studied in schools and dissected in think pieces. It wouldn't have cemented Kendrick as one of the greatest storytellers in hip-hop history. That's the terrifying part. We were that close to losing something truly special because of advice that seemed logical on the surface but missed the bigger picture entirely. Stat Quo knows this now, and he's not shy about admitting it. As he's talking to MixedbyAli, you can hear the respect in his voice for Kendrick's decision to trust his gut and ignore the noise. He's basically saying Kendrick was smarter than all of us, that he had a vision that went beyond what anyone else could see at the time. And that's what separates great artists from good ones. Great artists don't just follow the blueprint. They create their own. They take risks that make everyone around them nervous. They stick to their instincts even when people they respect are telling them to go in a different direction. Kendrick did exactly that, and the result was an album that didn't just succeed commercially but changed the entire landscape of hip-hop. What makes this revelation even more fascinating is the context of who Stat Quo is and what he represents. This is someone who's been through the major label system, who understands the pressures and the politics, who's seen talented artists get chewed up and spit out because they either compromised too much or didn't compromise enough. He was genuinely trying to help Kendrick navigate those waters. His advice came from experience, from seeing what works and what doesn't in the industry. But the music business is unpredictable, and sometimes the safest path is actually the most dangerous one. Playing it safe might get you a decent first week of sales, but it won't get you a classic. It won't get you an album that people are still talking about and analyzing years later. The conversation between Stat Quo and MixedbyAli is eye-opening because it pulls back the curtain on the creative process and shows just how fragile great art can be. One wrong turn, one bad decision, one moment of doubt, and everything changes. Kendrick could have easily second-guessed himself. He was young, hungry, and surrounded by people with more industry experience telling him what to do. It would have been so easy to cave to that pressure, to think maybe they know something I don't, maybe I should listen. But he didn't. He held firm. He believed in his story, in his voice, in his ability to create something that mattered beyond chart positions and first-week numbers. And that confidence, that unwillingness to compromise his vision, is what gave us an album that feels as relevant and powerful today as it did when it first dropped. Stat Quo also talks about how humbling this experience was for him. It taught him a valuable lesson about not projecting your own limitations onto other people's art. Just because something doesn't fit the conventional formula doesn't mean it won't work. Just because you can't see the vision doesn't mean the vision isn't there. Artists need people around them who believe in what they're trying to do, who push them to go further rather than pulling them back to what's comfortable and familiar. Kendrick was lucky enough to have people in his corner who understood that, even if not everyone around him saw it at first. And now, looking back, everyone can see how right he was. The proof is in the legacy. Good Kid, m.A.A.d isn't just a successful album. It's a cultural landmark, a turning point, a body of work that elevated the entire genre. So when you listen to Stat Quo tell this story, it's not just about him admitting he was wrong. It's about celebrating the fact that Kendrick was strong enough to be right. It's about recognizing that great art requires courage, that sometimes you have to ignore the experts and trust yourself even when it feels risky. It's a reminder that the best albums, the ones that change everything, are usually the ones that break the rules rather than follow them. And it's a testament to Kendrick's genius that he could see what others couldn't, that he had the vision and the backbone to make it happen despite the doubt and the pressure. This whole revelation adds another layer to the legend of Good Kid, m.A.A.d. It's not just an incredible album. It's an album that almost wasn't, that survived terrible advice and industry pressure to become exactly what it needed to be. And that makes it even more special. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.